If I would remember exactly the date, I don't remember. I just know it was in May.
That'd be about 44, right? 1944?
Yeah, that was 1944 in May, but I don't remember exactly the...
There you go. From where did you come to the camp?
From Czechoslovakia.
Right. But what means of transportation? Like cattle cars, whatever they did?
By train.
By train?
Closed trains, we couldn't see anything. It was wagons what they was, animals releasing
Right.
cows. And
Right. Did you arrive alone or with members of your family?
No, with the whole family of mine.
Right. And what happened to them? Okay. What happened to your family afterwards?
Well, we arrived there, the whole family, my parents, and we was 8 children. And one of my sisters, she was married, so she had a 3-year-old baby.
Right.
So right the first night, they all went, they separated us, left and right. We was 4 sisters together. They took us in the right side to the concentration camp, and the rest of the family, they took away, they separated. Right in that moment, we didn't know what happened to them.
You didn't know what it meant?
No, we didn't know what that meant. Only we find out later, like a few days later already, what happened to them.
Right. Could you describe the location and size of the camp?
The size?
Right.
Well, it was very, very big. The concentration camp in Auschwitz, that was the largest concentration camp between all camps. And it was maybe about 40 how to say, each place where we was surrounded with electrical fences.
Right.
Yes, it was about 32. They called them, the German called blocks, but this was like bungalows. Here they calling houses like this bungalows. They called it blocks. It was about 32. In each was about 800 girls.
Right.
Girls were separate and the men were separate.
Could you describe the guard system they used?
You mean the Zählappels and also how they was counting us?
No, the guard system. I guess they mean like the I forget what the Jewish police. Then they had the Gestapo and the capos and everything. Right?
Yeah. So each flag, that in each house where we was the girls, it was a guard, Jewish girl, and she was called Blockertester.
Right.
Blockertester. She was watching us, taking care. And there was inside a few girls. They took care also. They was called Sturmdienst.
Right.
Then they were capos also.
Right.
Plus, we had the Germans, men and girl soldiers, the SS men.
Right.
But they were selecting us, for work, who to gas chamber, who to work.
Right. When was the camp set up?
When we came there from Czechoslovakia, so we heard that camp was set up already about 4 or 5 years before, because those girls, the capos, in the blacker testers who was taking care, they was there suffering already 4 years because they came from Poland and all those places where the German army occupied the first beginning.
Right.
We from Czechoslovakia, we came the last year, the last.
Do you remember the names of the commanders, the commanding officers, and the men?
Not exactly. I just remember the name of Dr. Mengele.
He was
the major, the doctor. He was selecting
of
the people.
Gestapo, right?
Yeah.
Right. Could you characterize them?
This is so many years ago.
Right. Okay.
I was a young girl, and this is so many years ago.
Oh, I realize that. It's just, these are the questions I have.
Yeah.
You know how many Germans guarded the camp?
Well, I tell you something. They didn't stay with us the whole day. They just came twice in a day, early in the morning and in the afternoon. And we stand outside. And they was counting us always. Twice in a day they counting us. And nobody escapes and everybody is there.
So you really couldn't tell how many there were?
No. And then during the day they used to surprise us. They came in, nobody knew. And they came in, they surprised us, and because then was the selection who to take to the gas chamber for work, you know.
How many non-Germans, like Ukrainians, Lats, etc.? Do you know how many they had of them?
What do you mean non-Germans?
Well, like Ukrainians, and this is Letts. Like, I imagine they had guards which are not Germans, which might have been Polish or communists or whatever they used.
I mean, that was just between those Jewish girls who came there already 3 or 4 years ago, and they was building the lagers, the camps. They was not because they wanted, they was forced to do that, you know. And that's why they was so bitter already. When we came, they was very bitter to us, you know.
You mean the Jewish girls who built the camps were bitter towards you?
They was, because they were suffering there already about 4 years. Meanwhile, we was home and we didn't knew about those things. We had it good, you know.
Right. Now, getting back to the guards, basically the guards were either Germans or they were Jewish, right? There weren't many, like, let's say, they had, I learned in my class, they had, let's say, prisoners were thrown into camps too, like criminals and stuff like that. There weren't many of them as guards. Like prisoners or communists or all kinds of things.
Well, they was, but not there where we was. That was only girls,
right?
You know, so not right in that place where we was. The whole concentration camp was like this: A, B, C, you know,
right.
by the ABC. And we was in our place was called Lager C.
Right.
Lager C. In each lager, like A, B, C, D, it was surrounded with those electrical fences. We couldn't go out only if the German guards with the big German shepherds, they took us out from those places to take a shower or to the chambers or for work or anything.
Were the German SS or did they belong to other units, like in the army or something? Were they SS or?
Right there in the concentration camp in Auschwitz, there was only SS and Gestapo.
Right.
But then we was transferred to another place where we was working, so there was also Wehrmacht. They wasn't bad people, you know.
What do you mean by what's that again? What were they?
Wehrmacht.
What's
that was like it's SS,
right.
A group of SS Nazis. So they was soldiers also. They was called Wehrmacht, WR, you know. But they wasn't bad to the people. But that wasn't in Auschwitz.
You're talking about Freudenthal, right?
Hmm?
Freudenthal?
Freudenthal, yeah. That was there, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember incidents that could be used to accuse individual Nazis as war criminals?
Incidents? If I remember, of course.
Well,
but I wouldn't recognize them like this, but sure.
Oh, let's see. Would you be able to tell me what incidents, or would that bother you too much?
No, for example, when we was transferred already, just me and my sister, 2 of us, because we was 4 together in Auschwitz, but then after a few months, like after 7 months, they separate us. They took again those 2 sisters to the gas chamber and 2 of us for work there, to frighten us. So when it ended the war, in the same day when the Russians came, so the Nazis, they came in, they wanted us to go out from those houses, like they wanted us to get up to the field and to kill us. And it was there another, that German soldier, he wasn't a Nazi. That's what I'm saying, he was a German. He told us in German, you stupid people, now you don't listen to them anymore. Go upstairs, don't listen, they want to kill you. So we run upstairs. We knew already that something is going on, that they don't have any more
selection
to us. So we run up. So the Nazis came again to chase us down. And he says, don't listen to them, go up, they want to kill you, you know. And that's how they didn't have time already to play around with us, and they run away themselves, the Nazis.
Well, why were the Nazis afraid of a bunch of women?
Why were they running? The Russians was behind the back.
Oh, I see.
The Russians were. And as soon they left, and that we find out, we got already outside and in the street, without nobody, no guards, nobody taking care of us. And all of a sudden, we see two Russian soldiers like came behind the fences.
Right.
Because they were sent out, like always they sent out a guard, 2-3 people
Right.
to look around.
Well, getting back to the, could you remember incidents while you were there before that which would accuse Nazis of war criminals?
While we was there,
Yeah,
if they
individual Nazis. But you just can't remember any names, right? Or,
Dr. Mengele, that name I remember the best.
How do you spell
Everybody.
it?
Mengele is Mengele.
right. And what did he do?
That he was the main doctor, and he was selecting people to death.
You mean like for experimentation type deaths? You mean,
No, he just was lucky. Like, or example, he did. It was a special bungalow just for twins.
right.
The twins he didn't kill because they was experimenting on them.
What kind of
Learning.
experiments?
I don't know.
Right. Okay. What was the composition of the inmates? Like numbers, ages, sex, Jews and non-Jews, towns, places of origin, things like that. I'll go over that slowly.
Yeah. I
okay.
kept
Oh, I see. Okay. The composition of the inmates, like how many were there and the ages. And
Of the Nazis,
of the inmates, which is, Jewish prisoners.
how many was there?
Right.
So I'm telling you, in each lager where we was surrounded was about 32 those blacks.
Yeah.
See those houses. So was 30 houses was just with girls, full girls, a lot of girls.
Right.
Because the two of those houses was like bedrooms and showers. So it was a lot. So that was in each maybe 30,000. So Auschwitz alone was maybe 40 lagers. So count how much could be in the thousands.
Right. And the ages were mostly young, old, everything.
Mostly young. The old people right away the first night they killed in the gas chamber, right away. And after the old people, the first day when we arrived is the old people in mothers with children, no matter how young she was. She was carrying a child with her, so she right away went there. And then each day they were selecting.
Okay, what about where you were, there was just women, right?
Women, yes.
Were there many non-Jews in the camps?
Right there where we was, who knows? No, non-Jews, no, it wasn't. It was just
All
Jewish.
Jews? Right.
But there was non-Jews. We saw priests also, like far from us in another lager. It was lager.
But you didn't have much interaction with them. You didn't see
No.
them.
It was non-Jews also. We saw priests there. In another thing, where we was in Freudenthal working, so we met there Russian boys also, non-Jews, Russian boys prisoners.
Right. There were a lot of Russians there?
Of course, not a lot. Russian prisoners.
Where did most of the people come from in the camp? From all over, or from Poland, or from Austria, or
From all
Hungary?
over.
All over.
It started like in Poland, it started in Germany, Poland, like, when he occupied Hitler a territory, so right away he took the Jews.
Right.
Well,
what did the work consist of that they had you doing?
the working system?
Okay, so what did the work consist of in the camps?
What kind of work?
Right.
In Auschwitz, we didn't do no work. There was the girls only waiting how lucky is, because every day they was counting us and they were selecting the girls who for work and who to send to gas chamber and who for work, so they took them the places, the factories, like not in Auschwitz, other cities.
Oh, you mean from Auschwitz? They
From
brought you to
Auschwitz.
factories
Yes,
to work.
yeah. Let's see, I was there about 7-8 months, yeah, and after that, me and my sister, they took to Freudenthal. That's a completely different city.
Right, that's a small camp. But in Auschwitz, did most of you get brought out to factories to work, or most of you weren't being selected, just stuck around?
Most of them was selected to the gas chamber.
A majority. Let's see. That's good. Okay. In Freudenthal, what you did was you worked on SS uniforms, right? And you did that the whole time you were there?
Yes, there was 300 girls. Not everybody was the same. Other girls was working on the gas mask. They did the gas mask and shirts for the SS soldiers, the shirts. I was working on uniforms.
Right. Was very hard. Like, did they always trying to drive you to work harder in Bradenthal, or was it not too bad?
No, you see, we had there civilian people who was managing the factory.
Right.
And especially the lady who was managing, she was a very fine woman. But that wasn't the point if they was rushing us. We had to rush ourselves because that was chain work,
Yeah.
you know. So if you wasn't fast, that was piled up. You had to work.
Right. So you felt that the civilians, these were Germans, right? Bradenthal's in Germany, yeah.
I
They-
don't
and
know
they
if
were
that was Germany or Poland, I'm not sure.
right. Well, they were.
Czech,
It sounds
but that was
German.
occupied from the Germans.
Right.
You know?
But you felt the civilians, most of them were civilians, weren't too bad, right?
You know, all kind of fish. We didn't know they wasn't bad to us, the civilians.
Right. But they couldn't talk to you too much either, right? Because the guards were around all over. Okay. Could you describe the capos?
Right in Freudenthal, the couples that we had, the Jewish wasn't too much. There was only about 3 of them because every 100 girls, they was living in separate rooms in each couple. They was good girls because they was the same time there, like we was not like 3-4 years suffering already.
Right. What about
Only in Auschwitz,
in Auschwitz?
they was a little harsh because they was there already about 4 years suffering so much. They was building those barracks and everything, so they was bitter, you know.
Or did they walk in at night and attack people, things like that?
Not exactly attacked, but they managed that inside while we was in the barracks, so they took care of us. They didn't attack. I didn't have those kind of experience. They was girls. I hear from them. They say yes or no. I don't know nothing about it. They just, you know, whatever they did, they had orders.
Right. I imagine if they
or
weren't.
they didn't care. They were so cold, so bitter because how much they went through already.
Most of the capos were Jewish, right?
Yes, the couples they was only Jewish.
Oh, right. There weren't any political prisoners or communists or anything?
There was plenty political prisoners and communists in all over in the lager, but not right in the same lager where I was.
Oh, I
because
see.
it was just girls.
Could you describe the food?
The food was rotten. In how we had the food, I just said to my husband the other day in the car, he went plenty through also, but I told him he just couldn't imagine. We had for breakfast tea, black tea or coffee, bitter without sugar, and cereal, farina, just plain in water cooked. That's it. That was our breakfast.
Right.
For lunch, spinach. Only spinach each day, plain cooked in water.
Right.
The dirt with a lot of sand in it, in everything.
Yeah.
Nothing else. But we didn't know even that was spinach. We thought that's just plain grass because it didn't have no taste, nothing.
Yeah. How'd you know it was spinach?
Then later on we find out.
Right. What was the daily routine like? You know, from when you get up, like roll calls, things like that.
You mean in Auschwitz?
Right.
In Auschwitz was the daily routine was there. They woke us up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they chased us out like the animals. Between the 2 barracks, you know, like a backyard. We were staying, all the girls from each barrack, we were staying there 5 in a line, in waiting for the SS, for the Nazis, soldiers, they came to count us.
Right.
And they counted in all the lagers.
Right.
Because I don't know whatever how much people they have there. If it didn't came out the number, so they was looking and counting. It took them 4 hours in the morning, and 4 hours in the afternoon. Like from 4 in the morning till 8 o'clock, they kept us there in the afternoon from 4 till 8 in the evening. In between, we were sitting inside.
Yeah.
Or sometime we went out to the bathroom. That wasn't right where we was living in the barracks. We had to go a little, but they didn't let us go just when anybody had to go, just when they wanted us to go. That's all. And we was during the day, but we was sitting inside in waiting. Who knows what's gonna happen? Because sometime in middle of the day they surprised us.
Right.
They came in with Dr. Mengele, a few of the Nazis in the big German Shepherds, and they chased us out again to stay the cell apples. They called us cell apples when we were staying in Wisconsin. We knew already if in middle of the day they chasing us out, this is already selection. We selected who for work and who for question.
Inside, like, there wasn't much killing except for the gas chambers, eh? Like, or would the guards walk around and just kill somebody indiscriminately?
As I hear from my girlfriend that used to happen in other lager, I don't know, in my lager, I don't remember it happened something like that.
Right. Were there actions in the camp? Like, you know what I mean by that? I don't know. Like, would they, like, decide to punish people all of a sudden and, you know, let's say one prisoner did something wrong, they would punish everybody else, things like that?
If it was impossible to escape from there.
Right.
But they used to tell us always before they start to come, if somebody tries something, if somebody escapes, if just one is gonna missing between so many thousands, so we're gonna all suffer for that.
Did that ever happen?
So they didn't kill everybody, so I suppose not from Auschwitz was impossible to escape.
Nobody tried.
Maybe, who knows, not in our, not there where I was.
Right.
This was 40 lagers, you know how many thousands we were there?
Right. There was no organized underground, right? No planned resistance, contact
We
with
was
the outside.
not at all in contact with outside world, it was just impossible.
Only in Freudenthal you had contact with the outside.
It was civilian people that we was working with them in the factory.
The food was also better there too, right?
Much better, yeah.
Okay, in Freudenthal nobody tried to escape either.
Not between us, but
Right. Probably because you figured you had it good.
we had it much better
Right.
already. We was happy that we working. We knew already from there they don't take us to the gas chambers because
you
they
know-
needed work also.
Did you know the Allies were Russian front they were advancing on the Germans?
Well, we used to hear all kind of rumors, you know, this and that. I don't know exactly how from the prisoners. They was more outside, you know, and we used to hear rumors that they coming, the Russians, and that they losing, the Germans are losing the war. But we didn't know it's true or it is not true.
What
We
did
just
you-
find out the last day.
What did you think was going to happen if Germany won the war?
If Germany won the war.
Uh-huh.
We was thinking about that. Oh, if they gonna win the war, that's it. Our future is this, or we gonna have to slave for them till our life ends.
You didn't
Or
think?
they gonna slowly kill us or something like that.
Well, quickly kill you.
No, slowly, because you see they needed work also. We worked for them for nothing, right?
Right, but the life expectancy of the average Jew in Germany, in Europe, was about 1 or 2 years, right? I mean, nobody lived too long because the work was so hard, right? Were there any attempts at cultural activity, I guess like religion, stuff like that? Like what happened on Yom Kippur and things like that?
Who knew that is in people or anything?
You didn't even know, so everybody just gave up.
We knew because that was between us, very Orthodox people also, so they kept in mind. But nothing, like every other day.
So you didn't have any, like nobody did anything. You just hang around waiting selection,
You
right?
was the kidding, I'm telling you. I don't know why they don't show movies or really a
Well-
book from Auschwitz that was going on there.
No, I've seen a movie called The Broken Glass, and I think it's a ridiculous question too.
Well, no, you just ask me anything, I answer. But I tell you something, they went through girls much worse in much other things than I. You know how it's not all over is the same thing.
What do you mean?
There was Dachau in Buchenwald, and there was so many Terroriststadt, so many others where I have cousins, they telling me stories, they was beaten in their that, in that. I can tell you just what I experienced, you know.
You can't think of anything which happened which was like an atrocity different than the gas chambers, like with the guards, right?
What they did to us, you know, they never let us know where they're taking us. They made us always to believe that they're taking us to the gas chamber, even they didn't.
Yeah.
Like that time when we were four sisters together about, I don't know exactly, 7-8 months in Auschwitz. So when they selected us, the two sisters they took to the gas chamber and two of us for work. But till the last minute we still didn't know that we're going to work because they moved us always from barrack to another and again, and during the whole night, till we got to Freudenthal, it took us about 3 days. During the night, they took us a few times to the main street, and we saw a lot of trucks with naked people, so quiet, we knew they taking them to the gas chamber. Then they returned us again back to the barracks, and we were lying there on the floor, and again, like they was twisting around with us out and in and again to make us like to believe we don't know what's going on. It looked very bad. We thought we going to the gas chamber. Then all of a sudden we saw that they putting us on the train. We arrived to Freudenthal. We knew already we came to our camp where we were doing work.
Yeah.
Oh, a little louder?
No, that's good. Just put it closer to you. All the children in the camp were killed, right? When he first came? So nobody hit any children. It was impossible, right?
They came, a young woman, they was pregnant at the beginning and didn't show on them, so they had the children there, the little babies. So then they took the baby and they killed them.
But they left the mother?
Yeah. The mother they left.
Okay, what were the relations between the Jewish inmates? Like, did they fight with each other, like, let's say, Polish Jews and Romanian Jews?
Only when it came to food.
For food they used to fight?
Yeah, you know what they did? I just remember. I said to my husband, the Polish girls used to wear shoes at called pantoffels. It was wooden shoes, very big, so pointing the front. In where we went always somebody else, every day somebody else had to go to the kitchen for food. In the food, it was in big, not pots, big like, when you call it garbage can, you know? Of course that wasn't garbage can, but they was so big. So we was taking the food, it was very heavy to carry, from each barrack a few girls, every day ordered. We took the food there. So in between the girls, they was hungry. So they took off that pantoffel, the shoes was called, and they wanted to reach for food. So they put the shoe inside, in the soup, in the spinach, whatever it was. So, and they took with the shoes the food. So the other girls, they couldn't see that. So they didn't want to let to do that. You know, it was enough dirty, not she put the shoes for the food. So that's how the fight started. But it was only because of the food. In 4 o'clock afternoon, when we stayed against Silapel, they counted us. So they give for each girl a supper. It was bread, a piece of bread with a little, a pet margarine on it. That was for the whole day, like till the next afternoon. So some of the girls, they were so hungry, they just couldn't wait. They ate the whole piece of bread. Some of the girls, they made, the bread was from a loaf bread, maybe such a piece. Some of the girls made a few slices to have it for the whole day. so they steal the bread.
Yeah.
One girl steal the bread from the other girl.
They ever try to steal it from you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Look, the girl was hungry,
Right.
you know. It's not something like this. You couldn't help that. So that's how they fight. If a girl just noticed that her neighbor steal the bread, so she fight because she
Right.
was also hungry. She didn't want to give up her bread. So that kind of fight. You know?
Right. But it was nothing because they were from a different country or anything.
No.
Was it-
Only, like I told you, the Polish girl did hate us because they was there already 4 years when
Right.
we came.
They were the capos, right?
Capos, yeah, mostly capos, but even if not capo, like they felt, look, they had it still so good.
Yeah.
I mean, while we was here already suffering in hungry, in beating, in working very hard. It was very hard. The girls was working. They built their barracks, you know.
It's hard to survive so long, though, isn't it? 4 years in a concentration camp if you're not a capo. How did they manage to do that?
Well, not everybody was a capo.
Right, but the ones
Each barrack had a capo.
But you're saying that some people in Auschwitz survived 4 years,
Yeah.
5 years, even if they weren't capos. That's kind of hard to do, isn't it? With all
Well,
the
it is
selections.
hard. You're sure it's hard to do, but I don't know really how to survive.
I guess they were the youngest and the strongest, so they
Yeah.
right. Wait, there were no non-Jews where you were, right?
Not right there, but there was non-Jews we used to see in the other lager.
You didn't have any trouble with them, though.
No. They were the prisoners just the same like we were. We couldn't have no trouble with them because even if we saw each other, if we could talk, but we couldn't reach each other
Through the
because of the
fences. Did you receive any help from your fellow inmates? Like if you were sick or for food or, something like that?
not food, but in Freudenthal, when I was sick, like I told you, we had there doctors. For first aid, if somebody was very sick, so then they wanted to exchange to bring the sick girl back to Auschwitz in the gas chamber and to bring another.
Yeah. Were you sick while you were there?
Yes, I was very sick.
What was wrong with you?
I had very high fever
Right.
and I was in bed.
This was in Freudenthal, right? You weren't sick in Auschwitz.
I was sick in Auschwitz, also very sick. I had a vitamin deficiency in
Yeah.
mouth. My tongue was very swollen. It had a name, they called it in German, but I don't know. It was like something like moldy inside,
Right.
you know.
How did
I
you-
cannot explain it. The whole tongue was swollen. It was very painful because the teeth didn't have no space in them, like they went in the tongue.
Yeah.
And I couldn't talk, I couldn't open my mouth.
How did you manage to avoid selection if you were so sick?
You see, that was the last selection that we went through. The doctor, he just didn't ask anything.
Right.
That's how lucky I was, because maybe if he didn't have to what to ask, he could care less, he didn't give a damn. He just selected, right till left, the girls. So that's how I managed to escape, because, not escape, to get up from there. Because if he would ask me something and I couldn't answer, right away he would see that I'm sick, why I couldn't answer.
How did you get better from being sick? How did you recover?
From what I had in my mouth. When we arrived there to Freudenthal, so one of our girls, the doctor, she was Jewish.
Right.
She helped me.
She gave you some food.
She gave me something inside. I knew the name, but not in English. It's a purple liquid. And with a little brush, she did it always inside. In the more disappeared.
Right.
And then we had better food. She gave me some vitamin pills.
The doctors were Jewish, right?
Yeah, between our girls, Jewish doctors there. One doctor there, a Nazi, he just came around to look around and he gave orders for the Jewish doctor.
Could you describe the clothing that you had?
Yeah.
Like it didn't fit, right?
Yeah, in Auschwitz we had those kind of clothing, but in Freudenthal was everything better. We had better clothing. In Freudenthal we had already a coat. Everybody got a coat, in underwear.
What about the sanitary conditions? Were the barracks and everything else clean? Even
Had to be clean. That was, they cared about that a lot, because if not, they went between us. If not, then it would be sickness and everything. Like sometimes once in a while, I don't even remember, once in a week, when, they took us to take a shower, and we didn't have no hair, nothing, because of that, not to have. But we had plenty like that in the dresses.
Right. Plenty of what?
Lice.
Lice. Yeah, that they gave you.
The dresses, always.
That's terrible. That's really itchy, isn't it?
My husband told me that he had lice in all his body full in Russia.
Yeah.
He was by Hungarian in a hard labor camp. From there he escaped to the Russia. He thought it's going to be better. But as soon somebody told him, a nurse, just don't say you are a Jew.
Did you ever you never got any mail or anything, right?
Nobody even knew about that exists there. Nobody, the outside world didn't know that Auschwitz existed.
When you were in Hungary, you were deported like in 1944, right?
Yeah.
The Jewish community and you in Hungary didn't know anything about concentration camps and killing and things like that?
The people there, nobody knew nothing.
Nobody believed
Maybe the government and people who was working for them, they knew. So this I don't know, because we didn't have nothing with them in contact.
Because the concentration camps were going on for like 5 or 6 years.
Yes, the war was 6 years, so that's how it went on. As how Hitler was occupying the countries, so he took right away the people to the concentration camp.
Right.
To us, they came the...
Did you believe you were going to be sent to a concentration camp? You never did until it happened, right?
I never even knew that it exists. We just thought that they taking us away for hard work.
Oh, they told you?
To Germany.
There was no resistance from the Hungarian Jews?
In Budapest, not everybody went to concentration camp. Some of them, they was very, very lucky and smart. They made papers, Christian papers.
But they were Aryans.
They Christian papers, and they was living like Christians. They had connections. Sometimes in the family was non-Jews, mixed marriages.
You couldn't do that though.
We didn't have even time for things like that. They surprised us.
You never thought about immigrating either?
From the house, they deported us. That was in April.
Right.
When we arrived to Auschwitz was in May.
You didn't think about immigrating to let's say, United States or something?
When we was with our parents, no, never. Not in Czechoslovakia.
How many percent would you say of the Hungarian Jews managed to get by as Aryans? Just very few or quite a number?
This I cannot tell you, because I'm coming from Czechoslovakia. That's not Hungarian. The Hungarian was occupied that territory where I was born. You understand?
Right.
Hungary is completely something else.
So you were from Czechoslovakia?
I'm from Czechoslovakia.
Truly remedy
I was born in Czechoslovakia, sure.
That's why they deported you in Czechoslovakia?
They deported me. It was no more Czechoslovakia, because when the Hungarian, the fascists with the Nazis, they was together.
Oh, the Hungarians
So
were
the Hungarians, they occupied the territory, the Czechoslovakian territory where I was born, and they chased out from there the Czechs.
You're
so when we
deported,
was deported, it was already a Hungarian government there, not the Czechs. The Christian Czechs, they all escaped from the Hungarian. The Jews, our parents were born there, and everybody stayed there.
nobody actually tried to, when the Germans told them to get out in the streets, nobody actually tried to fight back or anything.
We didn't have nothing with that.
Well, did they have, I imagine wouldn't it be possible for some of the population before the war to have guns, in the houses and stuff?
Nobody never had such a thing in the house. Now it's different.
Now everybody's got a gun. Yeah.
You heard?
Basically, well, before the deportations from part of Czechoslovakia, which was controlled by Hungary, was there anything like the government taking money away from the Jews and making laws that Jews can't go shopping all the time, you can't take trains and stuff like that?
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
So wasn't the Jewish community getting very afraid of what was going to happen?
Yeah. The Jews was wearing a yellow star on the dress. Yeah. Yellow star, because if we went out the street, so they knew that we are Jews. Right. Besides the point, in the cities, nobody was allowed before 10 o'clock to go out from the house. No shopping, no nothing. Because in the morning, till 10 o'clock, they had on the market the nicest vegetable and fruit and everything. So we wasn't allowed before 10 o'clock to go out. Only after 10.
Right. When did the first measures start in Hungary? The first things they started doing against Jews?
Right away, as soon they occupied the country.
When was that, 1939?
Yeah.
They started saying the Jews can't go out at night. But after that, when was...
He wasn't allowed to go from one city to the other city.
After the original thing they did, when was the next time they started making more serious anti-Jewish?
Each day was more and more serious, each day. And then, even in 1939, when they came in, the Hungarians, they started to deport people who was born, let's see, somebody had a Polish background.
Right.
Let's see, my father-in-law's grandfather was from Poland. So they took already my in-laws with the family. My husband survived only because he wasn't that time home.
Right.
That they deported his parents with the family.
But it still surprised me that nobody tried to fight. Like, for instance, in the United States, if let's say they tried to start something, they would get, some of those Nazis would get shot.
Maybe now, but not so many years ago. I mean, because nobody went through such an experience.
You
never.
didn't believe it could ever happen.
Experience like that, people know already in everything, so it would be maybe different. God forbid we should know something like this again. It's better, or I don't know that.
It's better to go, the way it seems to me from reading the books, like Night and all these other books I read, it's better off to just electrocute yourself on one of those wires than go through that experience.
Many girls, like I told you in Auschwitz, they suicide. They couldn't take it anymore. They just reached to the wire. Many of them accidentally, they forgot.
If let's say you attacked a guard, if somebody attacked a guard, they probably torture him, right?
It happened with other places, other lagers. Now, after who survived, we come together, cousins or friends. So everybody's telling a different story, what they went through, what they experienced. Like I told you, with the forehead, they was beating so long against the heart, the burning iron door. In holding there so long, that was burned the whole thing. They just couldn't take it anymore. They died. I could talk to you day and night, maybe thousands in one night and day. Never finished the story that we went through. It wasn't enough with the Nazis, and we was waiting so terrible for we knew that the Russians are coming in that way where we was. So then the Russian came, and they made us plenty trouble.
The Russians made
trouble
for you too.
We was free already, I mean, in everything, but the plain Russian soldiers, they
the Russian soldiers, were they violent towards the Jews?
They was violent.
They attacked a lot of the Jews?
Not special because Jews.
Yeah.
You know how they was in war so many years already.
Well, but the thing is, they did attack the Jews in the camps more than they did the population in general, right?
I don't know if, but my husband says that in Russian, in war, everybody was afraid to say that they are Jewish, because if they knew that they're Jewish, they did torture them. Yeah.
The Russians did?
Yeah.
Well, I thought they just shot you. They tortured you too. The Russians.
No, other things. No, they didn't torture. No, just they attacked girls, they raped them, they didn't care. About us, nobody cared. Was territories where the English came and the Americans, they give for the girls food. They give them clothes, fresh clothes. They put them, was very sick girls, they put them in the hospital.
Oh, the English
the
or just the
Americans,
Americans?
the Americans and the English.
The English too?
Yeah.
What
They
about
put them in the hospital.
Did you have any experience with the French?
They put them in the hospital to get cured, not by the Russians. We just was afraid. It was the first time we experienced.
What was the reactions of the troops when they saw the concentration camps? Were you there? Well, when the Russians, when you were in Freudenthal, when the Russians came, right? And they saw you and everybody in the camps, right?
Yeah.
What did they think about it? Did you know?
But they knew. They must have knew when
they knew already.
So many. The first two Russian soldiers, I saw them.
Yeah.
Because all the girls outside,
Yeah.
not in the buildings, because this was the first day when the Germans, I told you about that, they knew already they lost the war, the Russians are here, they had ordered to escape, but they didn't have the heart to let us in life. So they wanted to chase us out from the buildings to the field, into shut us. You know?
The Germans tried to
the
kill
German
you?
natives, those few that they were staying with us in that labor camp, and they was taking care of us.
And then they
So
decided.
another soldier was there, also a German soldier, but he wasn't a Nazi.
Right.
Not everybody was a Nazi there. Not
Well,
other soldiers
in
were Nazis.
Freudenthal?
In Freudenthal.
But in Auschwitz, all of the Germans were Nazis, right? But in Freudenthal, how many percent were not Nazis?
That I don't know, I can tell you. Just that one particular soldier, I remember that he was yelling in German for us. Stupid girls, don't let yourself, go back, run when you can. They don't have any more, it's a Macht, that's in German, I don't know in English. About us, they don't have any more.
Control over you?
Control about you. They want to kill you. And when we heard that from him, so we all run back to the building. So the German people, they saw.
Why didn't they just?
Kill everyone?
Yeah.
I don't know. Really,
They didn't want to do it in the building.
So then we saw that they all run away with the motor cycles, they all, and then we all was downstairs without a control, nobody, Nazis, no soldier, nobody with us, that only one man.
Well, the guards were all women, right? A lot of them men.
Was a
The capos.
Mixed. No, the capos between the girls was women, and between the men, one man.
But the Gestapo was some of them were men with the women,
Gestapo, those were not Jewish, they were German.
Right, they were all men, right?
Yeah.
Just there's some women prison guards, though, right? Some women Nazis? No.
No, they were they all was. The majority was Nazis and Gestapo, the majority. You know what, another thing, the first thing when we saw those two Russian soldiers, the guards, we I saw them, go like this with the fences, they was looking around, and I saw them, so the older girl, we start to waving with white hanging chairs.
Right.
So they came out, they were so dirty and everything. And then we told them that they are prisoners, you know. And probably they could imagine already, they could, you know, German soldiers, you know, but there's so many girls in the
Right.
hundred. So they told us that the Russians, that they are the guards, they send them out to look around. And the Russians had Nafar only 60 kilometers away from us.
That's 120 miles, right?
I don't know, that's nice.
Right.
So we went out to the main highway,
Right.
waiting. We all was sitting at the highway and waiting for them. In another hour or two, they came already, all the soldiers, and walking in the thousands, the Russian soldiers. It was a very big celebration.
So
Everybody was very happy.
the Russian-
Then we knew already we are free.
But the Russian soldiers were pretty lousy to you, so you just stayed away from them, right?
Well, we didn't find it out right in the first minute.
But you, okay.
Just a few days after.
So you, what'd
That
you
it
do?
was there already.
What did you do after you found out that you better stay away from the Russians?
We couldn't, we didn't have no electricity, we didn't have no water, we didn't have no food, no nothing. How we find out, they came between girls, some of them was nice. They came to look, like when we were sleeping, in the middle of the night, there was no electricity. They came with candles, candlelight, and they was looking for girls
In your building?
in the building.
But
Yes.
it wouldn't be hard to look if there were hundreds of women around. I mean,
Yeah. So hundreds of women. There was 300 women. Not everybody was in 3 buildings.
yeah. Well, in other words, if they came to the buildings at night, right?
Yeah.
So what stopped them from getting what they wanted? Right?
Look, all kinds. Girls was fighting against them. Was,
Right.
was that time all kind of character girls like now in everything.
Right.
So sometimes a girl was lucky and sometimes she wasn't lucky, you know. I tell you what happened for instance, 2 things.
Right.
But is this interested? You have to know just about the Germans, no?
Well, I don't know. We got the questions covered, so I guess this is relevant too.
One time, one night, like we had beds like this, wooden beds, you see. 2 girls were sleeping here in under touch 2 girls. But that was in Reichenthal already, but that was better already.
Right.
I'm not talking now about Auschwitz. In Auschwitz, it was like 3 stories. 1, 2, 3, in about 10, 11 girls was sleeping in a smaller place like that room.
Right.
And it was very low. If we see it, so we couldn't see it comfortable, just like this.
Right.
And when the girls was, they slept, and everybody had to sleep on one side. And it hurt because we didn't have no pillows, we didn't have no blankets, no nothing, just on the bare wood.
Right.
So it hurt. So if one girl wanted to turn to the other side, so all the 10 girls had to turn. That was in Auschwitz. And I didn't even tell you about the food, how we got the food.
Where?
Already in Auschwitz, you know, where we got already the breakfast or the
Right.
or the lunch. So each place, each bed, that was one bed where 10 girls were sleeping. So it was, everybody had the food in one pot,
Right.
and they handed this to us.
Right.
So we didn't have no spoon, no fork, no nothing. So the food that we was eating was like this, from the pot. So every girl had a pure, you know, the other girl, she already took it from her too because she was hungry. So that's how the pot went always like this all around till it was empty.
Right.
So in Reichenthal we had it much better already. We slept 2 girls in a bed. So when the Russians came one night, came a soldier, he was an officer, and he was looking for pretty girls. So my sister was beautiful, very pretty. And he just came, he was looking like with a flashlight, looking in each bed. And he chose my sister. And we had already near our bed a nice table. And he came and he sit on the bed and he started to talk to her and tell her all kind of nice things, but we was already very scared because we knew already who they are, you know. But that was the first thing. He took the gun and he put on the table. Before he sit on the
first thing you should have done was pick the gun up.
He didn't want to kill or do something like, but somehow like to scare us, to show he's got a gun. And he was talking to her, talking all kind of nice things, and I was so scared. I cried. I was lying in bed and I cried. I was young. She's older, my sister. And I cried so bitter because I was very afraid. And he always went like this, and he made me, don't cry, I don't do no harm, and I always kicked him, you know, as how he was talking, as I always kicked him. So what happened? On the top, the two girls, they were sleeping. One of them, she got very sick because she overate, because we wasn't used to it, to eat already.
Well, the Russians fed you some food?
No, in the city, in the houses, to look for food. So she found some food when the Germans escaped, and she found some food, and she overate. And she was very sick. Many girls died after the war was finished, especially by the Americans, because the Americans, they meant well. And they give goodies for the girls, a lot of food and goodies, and they wasn't allowed to eat that because the stomach couldn't take it, and a lot of girls died. They survived from the Germans, but they died, like from the food didn't agree with them, you know.
Did you have that trouble with German guards too, coming into the barracks at night? German men?
Guards, they were not allowed to do that there.
If they got caught in the barracks, they'd be in trouble.
Yeah. So one of the girls, she got sick and she started throwing up on him. Excuse me, you know, that's how he ran away. So that was next night. Me and my sister, we didn't sleep anymore on our bed. We moved across from us on the top bed. The girls took us there, and we was looking what's going to happen. So we lied on our stomach like this, and looked down, and we was watching if the same soldier is going to come again. And he came. The same soldier came again, and he came straight to our bed. And the bed was empty, because we didn't stay there, me and my sister. We moved to another bed, right across on the top, because we wanted to watch. So another experience that I had, we couldn't go home from the lager there because there was no transportation. The trains and everything was broken. So we just was waiting slowly when they was fixing it up. So meanwhile, we got very friendly with that old woman that she was working near me with the SS uniforms. So me, my sister, and another girl, a girlfriend, we went to her house because she had a sewing machine. And we wanted to sew a few things for ourselves, to clothes, to take at home. So when we went out from that camp, as we walked to the lady, the street was very, very narrow. So across of us came a carriage, and that was sitting there, an officer in the front, and one of his soldiers, you know, each officer has a soldier, I don't know the name, how you call this in English, but he takes care of the officers, he cleans his clothes, his shoes, and he takes him with the carriage wherever he wants. So, and he stopped us. He came like with the carriage, and he stopped us, and he asked us, where are you going, girls? So we said, we're going here and here to the lady, because we want to sew some clothes for us when we're ready to go home already. We should have some clothes. He says, oh, don't walk. He says, come, sit on the carriage. We're going to take you there. We said, no, it's not so far. It's just here. And he says, no, just come. Why? It's a nice carriage. And we couldn't go not back, not in the front, because the street was very narrow. So he went like he blocked the street for us. And he looked so nice, you know. So the two girls with him, with the officer, they were sitting in the back, and I sit in the front with the guy that he was
working with
the fair, you know, but it was a carriage with two horses. So now we went out from that very narrow street to the highway. And we had to cross the highway to go straight again to the lady. So when we came to the highway, and I tell him, just go straight. And he said, the officer, he gave an order for the soldier, he says, in Russian, he says, turn left. And he made a left turn, he almost fall off. So then I saw something is going on funny, and I jumped down. I jumped in like he made such a bad turn, right turn, not to take us there where we wanted. So I got very scared, and I was in the front, and I jumped down. I'm lucky I didn't get killed, that I didn't fall under the carriage or the horses. And I was so frightened, I ran away back to the camp, and I cried, so, and I said for the girl what happened, for the other girls. Meanwhile, the two girls, they could not escape, because he was My sister managed to escape when they came already with that carriage to our building, and they stopped the carriage, and while they was going down from that carriage, she started to run. It was not far away from there was a hospital. And patients, they was recovered already from sickness. They was outside on the street in the clothes that the hospital give them. So when my sister was running, in the soldier, that officer, he yelled, catch her, catch her, catch her. So they made believe there was all kind of people outside. So they made believe they wanna catch her, and meanwhile they let her go. That's how she managed to escape, and she came back to the camp. And another half hour later, I got the other girl. Oh my God.
Imagine you could, as you said, talk forever about it. Do you think about it a lot?
Yes, Steven, I cannot say. My husband and my son, they like to watch TV, war, and all kind of things. I go to sleep. I cannot take it. I cannot take shooting. I cannot take no blood, nothing. And if even they give some shows or anything outside from the lager, those things like that, my husband never lets me to go to sleep, because then I have only nightmares.
Appreciate you helping me out like this. I sure hope, no, you think anything like this could ever happen again?
Oh, I hope not. Who knows? You remember the Rockwell?
Who?
Rockwell.
Rockwell?
Yeah, he died. So he started something like that. He
Well,
wanted
he wanted.
He wanted. Who knows? But we know. There was already, my father said, years ago when he was young, in his generation in Spain, they made to do things like that.
Well,
You heard about it,
yeah,
no?
this has been going on ever since history started. Okay.
I hope.